I'm Will. I'm the host of the Bald Book Geek. We have a lot to talk about. If you want early access and exclusive content, please consider becoming a channel member or joining my Patreon. And thanks, up do the usual. I'm trying to get through these lines as quickly as possible because I know they're irritating. I'm sorry. Hi. I just got out of watching Rings of Power, Season 2, the first 3 episodes. I have a lot to say on these. And you know my feelings about Rings of Power by now. But, there's a big but. My biggest criticism of this show from day one has been the dialogue, the writing, and the actors' performances, pacing, and structure, and these issues are still there. Ignoring the destruction of Tolkien's legacy through this show, and changing things they really shouldn't change because, you know, the imaginary modern audience. I do feel like when people say, it's for a modern audience, we're reinventing it for a modern audience. Are the modern audience in the room with you now? Are they talking to you? I do feel like just saying that to these morons, these insipid morons. So, I'm going to talk about the dialogue before I go into a rant. But the dialogue, the writing. So, first things first, the language they use, the rolling the r's constantly. I mean, they're verging on Wookiees at this point, because I'm sitting here thinking, can we not do this? Like, it doesn't need to be done. It can be natural, it can be organic. Why are there R sounds in words where there are no R's? And also, the delivery of the lines. Everything is very wooden and very stiff, and it doesn't seem to convey much. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. The lack of subtlety as well, and exploratory dialogue is off the charts again. The same issues where show versus tell, and it basically thinks the audience are a bunch of idiots. I really don't like shows that talk down to the audience, but then again, the modern audience, I suppose, this imaginary being of detrite noise, I don't know. The lack of subtlety screams through. I have notes, but the lack of subtlety is screaming through. The way it's delivered, and they literally characters stating their feelings or the themes of the story outright, and then leaving the room. It makes it feel very heavy-handed in places, which just drives me insane. So, other things, keeping it spoiler-free, there is a continuity blip. And I don't think it would annoy most people, this is a nitpick, but it's such a grade 1 film school mistake. It's not that difficult to sort out continuity in edits. That's not that far. I'm sure Amazon are going to blame the strike for this mess. You know, when millionaires were telling us they needed more money. But, I mean, it's okay. The lines are coming straight from, a lot of the lines are being lifted directly from the Lord of the Rings books, and there is a lot of stuff that I've picked up on that is literally being lifted from the Peter Jackson films. They're also lifting at scenes. There's a scene, which I won't name what happens, but there is a scene that comes straight from the Peter Jackson movie. And it's one of a few. Okay, origins of Hellbrand. So, we get his backstory, and don't take into account Galadriel, and this will bring into another problem. Galadriel is searching for Sauron, and Hellbrand, well, someone gets unalived, a short ginger dude, there's a special effects shot that's kind of pretty, Hellbrand happens, and then there's a boat, more superfluous info-dumping dialogue, and he ends up in the water, and that's where Galadriel finds him. He is a plot device. He is a literal plot device. He is not a character. He is a plot device. And I thought some of the names in my own fantasy book were pretty bad. But the way it's handled, because, and this brings up an issue with this show, in these episodes, and season 1 as well, there's no sense of time. There's no sense of time passing. They magically go from one scene to another, or a intercut of the map of Middle-earth, and they're there in the same clothes, looking very clean. There is no sense of time, distance, or travel. Middle-earth feels very empty and barren, and it really shows. I mean, I said it in season 1, there's a lot of beautiful scenery, but, you know, other than the actors chewing the scenery constantly and doing their best impressions of actual actors, it doesn't work. It feels empty, it feels lifeless. The lighting is better. I will give credit where credit's due. I think they've improved the lighting. It looks less flat and bright, but it looks less like television. But they are trying to do the Game of Thrones thing with this season, I'm convinced. And all the leaks that I've read on these episodes have been correct. So, you know, going through, I won't name names, but people on the inside, they've all been correct. And it's just ultimately just detrite. Other things that are standing out to me reading this, and I did want to sit here and give this long-winded epic review, and I'm trying, and I couldn't write it without doing spoilers. The timeline the lack of time within this show affects the storytelling, because it doesn't flow, it doesn't fit together, there's no movement, there is no sense of time. And that is a really bad thing with storytelling. You need a sense of time. You need a sense of this is happening and that's happening. And yes, Peter Jackson compressed the timeline of The Lord of the Rings for the sake of storytelling, but there was still a sense of time passing. Now, if you don't have a sense of time in a television show, you kind of end up sitting there like, oh, they're here now. Or this is happening. And take into account the info-dumping dialogue and exploratory dialogue. Everything seems to be happenstance, and I'm going to explain a British TV trope, duff duffs, EastEnders. It's a British soap opera, it's garbage, but if there's a cliffhanger, it ends on a duff duff. It's 2 notes, dun dun, and that's what this storytelling is. Minor revelation about a character, duff duff, next episode. And it's happenstance. There's no one here with any real agency. Galadriel. Okay, she finally acknowledges her mistakes, but characters are still treating her if she's right, and certain important characters within Middle-earth history are reduced to simpering morons. And again, I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as I can. The problem with this is that as a style, it doesn't work, because again, don't forget, we live in an age where every woman on television, not every woman, but in these kind of shows, they have to be loud-mouthed, obnoxious, and have complete control over everything that's going on. And it just really shows with this series. It's annoying, because Galadriel was never a warrior. I repeat, they latch on to this thing. She was an Amazon. No, athlete. Athletic. She's the mage. I've gone through all of the works, and I have never found any reference to her being a warrior. And where is her magic? And everyone keeps saying, oh, well, it's first age stuff. No, this is the second age at the Forging of the Rings. This is not this hot-headed, angry young woman. She's centuries old at this point. What is she? At the same age as I mean, she's been there for millennia. Can we at least get some agency from her? And can we get rid of that stupid actress? She annoys the hell out of me. She delivers her lines in a way that just makes my skin crawl. Because, again, there's no agency. She has 2 faces and no agency within the story, but this is true of most of the actors. Though Hellbrand guy, I don't get why people simp for him, but he's trying to be all menacing and intense, and really he just comes across as creepy. And why do people fall in love with these toxic, creepy guys? I'm just, I mean, I came out of watching this and I sat there and I just couldn't focus on that story because there was really no story. It was info dumped in front of you. You knew what was happening. And if the rumours are true, season 2 will end with the forging of the One Ring. So what the hell are they going to do for 3 more years? And I said that in another video. I came out of it and it's just fascinating. And I want to say this, a friend of mine went to the screening and I got some exclusive information which will be quite useful later. And even he said people were walking out and people were bored and people were asking what was happening. The problem with this show in these first 3 episodes is it's info dumping, no time frame, extraordinarily poor acting, and writing that's driving me mad. The only character in this entire show, or characters in this entire show I like, are the dwarf and the dwarf princess. I would watch a show about those two any day. But the rest is just what the hell. Those two are a hoot. But going back to these episodes, there is no sense of any motion. There is no sense of drama. There's no sense of build-up. There's no sense of pathos. There's no grandeur. It's just info dumped. Scene happens. Fast travel. Scene happens. Scene happens. Backstory. And the way they are contriving the backstory into these episodes is frustrating, because just purely from a storytelling perspective, maybe it would have been better to put that at the end of season 1, because that's where a revelation maybe would have helped, or hinted at it throughout, rather than I'm not Sauron, with the amnesia plot. I hate amnesia plots. Also, and I've said this before, the short ginger dude they've got a Sauron in the backstory is just laughable. It's not well handled and it's not well done. And ultimately, it falls flat. It falls into the same diatribe that season 1 fell into, and they've just kind of improved the lighting and made some of the costumes look a bit better. And I won't lie, there's some beautiful scenery. Like I said, the actors spend ages chewing it. I mean, it's just bad. I came out of this just thinking, the reason this show exists is a contract. This show is a sympathy bleep of a TV show. And I'm bitterly disappointed, and I was disappointed when I first sat down and watched season 1. And I will say, I didn't watch it on Amazon before everyone starts that comment. Chinese subtitles getting in the way were fun. There was also a car advert at one point that I couldn't understand. But it was just this uneven, overly dramatic yet no drama thing. That was it. It was weak, it was frustrating, and it didn't flow, it didn't fit, it didn't feel natural. The show didn't feel natural. It felt like it had been... It felt like this had just been written on fanfic.net in 2006. There is no way around that. And as someone said on Twitter, there is another little continuity hiccup that suddenly the backstory we see now, it's weird, and there are some really basic mistakes in this show that could have been avoided. Maybe not hiring people that came from Bad Robot, but that's neither here the point. So, I will leave this here. There will be lots more Rings of Power content coming in the coming weeks, and I feel like they just want to dump this season out to bring up the viewing numbers. Critics have not been kind, and I do agree with the main criticism. So I will leave this here. I hope you have a wonderful day. More coming soon.